Welcome back. You're watching Money, 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 and this week we are doing a tax refresher because we are past the halfway mark. Well, past the halfway mark actually in the fiscal year. So it's a good time to get your taxes in order. Now, we've quickly given you a rundown of all the key changes that are at play in this year. The other thing, a new thing that was introduced was this concept of e-assessments, and this becomes important just in case you get an income tax notice or a query or some kind of question is asked by the IT authorities. So let's start from the beginning, Mr. Shah, and let's understand this. What do you mean when you say e-assessment?
So there are two key changes which has been introduced in the last budget. That first is that all the data which needs to be submitted, rather than submitting in physical form, you can either send it by an email or upload this data on the portal, income tax portal, and you can complete your assessment. The other aspect of e-assessment which was introduced under the law, and the scheme is still yet to be designed by the income tax authority, is that the assessment will happen not by physical appearance at all. The person who is assessing you, you would never know them. There is a team of assessing officers which will be centrally located, and they will conduct all the e-assessment. The queries will be raised on the portal and you need to answer that on the portal.
Okay.
So currently what is happening under e-assessment is your own tax officer will ask query and he will upload all the notices on the portal. And from that portal, you have to download these notices, and then you have to reply only on the portal.
Okay.
So this is the e-assessment which is being followed. The later part of the assessment, where you wouldn't know the tax officer, is yet to be implemented.
So what happens once a query comes in, and that too, I'm guessing it's going to come in this e-assessment format, or does it also come like the old-fashioned notice or an old-fashioned sort of when you'd get a document from the tax department? Does that still come?
No, so initial notices, because these were pertaining to the earlier period, initial notices had come in a physical form. But what happens now, they upload these notices on the portal. Therefore, each taxpayer has to have an account, need to know and visit that portal to identify the notices are issued.
But not all of us are checking our online accounts all the time to see if there was a notice or not.
Correct. We are not, and then that will become a bottleneck. But this, this is being overcome because they also send an automated email to your registered email ID.
Okay.
The challenges which are arising is that, while registering, I would have given some email ID. Say if I'm working with another company, I would have given that email ID.
And if you're not using that email ID and if you haven't checked it.
Correct. And if it becomes inactive, then such notices are already posted on the portal.
Right.
And it is being considered sufficient serving of notice to an assessee.
Okay. It's scary.
Yeah. So therefore, one has to just make sure that their profile, their details on the portal is correct, such as email ID, your address. And other relevant details.
Sure.
If it is not updated on a real-time basis, you may miss certain notices, certain orders which are uploaded by the tax officer on the portal.
Okay, so everybody get online, make sure your email IDs are correct, and make sure you're checking those emails regularly, because whatever communication is coming from the tax department, it's now coming through your email and through these e-assessment proceedings. Okay, fine. So now let's assume that someone has received some kind of a query or a notice. What's the next step?
So the next step is that he has to prepare the submissions. Queries are being raised in detail. So earlier notices were coming, please come and attend. So first you go attend, they will explain you what are their queries, and then you used to submit the information. But now the assessing officer has already looked at the details or returns what you have submitted. They will ask, standard questionnaires are there. They will ask all this information which you are required to submit. Generally, the information is around your bank statements, your asset details, your computations, how you have arrived, and any documentary evidence in relation to foreign assets you are required to submit. And once you submit that, they will evaluate and they will come back if they have further queries, or generally sometimes if you have given completed, assessment gets completed and the order gets uploaded in the system.
So when you're furnishing all these additional details which the department is asking for, all of this is also happening online. You're simply uploading scanned copies of all these documents. Is that how it's working?
Yeah, that is how it works.
Okay.
And there is also a limit of file that can be uploaded. So up to 5 MB file can be uploaded.
Okay.
So then you have to do it in tranches also. Some information you will submit. Then, so you need to break down your all submissions into say 3, 4, 5 depending upon the, the size of files which you want to upload.
Sure. So I mean, the other thing is that, okay, let's say the assessee has submitted all the relevant details and assuming that the department is satisfied, at any point in time, is there any physical exchange of documentation or an acknowledgement or proof that I, the assessee, have submitted everything and now this matter, the scrutiny is closed?
Yeah, so what happens when you submit the details, you get a transaction ID, and that's the acknowledgement that you have submitted all the information. Now what happens once the assessment gets completed, they will close the assessment on the portal itself, and they will, once they close the assessment, they will pass an order and they will upload the data.
Okay.
Now very important thing is that we need to just check, because this portal gets closed automatically 7 days before the close of the assessment proceedings.
Okay.
So the final due date for tax year 16-17 is 31st December 18.
Okay.
So 24th December when the portal will get closed. So nobody can submit any details thereafter.
So that becomes your cut-off date, 24th of December.
So one has to remember that you are doing everything before 24th of December.
Okay, so but this is still, I mean, slightly complex because of the different steps you sort of enlisted and the fact that you have to upload all these things. To sum it all up, what are the tips that you would like to give viewers in case viewers, I mean, have got any queries and they have to go through this e-assessment process? How to make it as less painful as possible?
Yeah, so to make it less painful, important aspect is that you submit details on time. Submit all details. If you do not submit all details, it may so happen that you will keep receiving query, or it will be considered as a non-compliance. Because once they have requested detail and not submitting any of these detail, non-compliance can lead to penalty and prosecutions as well.
Okay.
Also, when you are unable to submit detail by that time, you still have a room to request for more time.
Okay.
And then submit within that more time. Many a times what we have seen the people make mistake is that please give us some time. And that's a very vague request for the tax officer.
Sure.
Then tax office will say some time would be a reasonable time of 7 to 8 days.
Okay.
Anything goes beyond that, they may not consider it appropriate.
Okay.
And then they will start considering as a non-compliance.
So if you can seek more time, let's say by the 24th of December, you're not ready with all your submissions, then can you actually ask for more time?
Then it cannot be online. Then you have to really take a positive confirmation from the tax officer that he's allowing you more time.
Okay.
Especially when you are looking at 24th December.
Sure.
Because then within 7 days they have to close the assessment.
Okay.
At least they need 7 days to read your submissions and pass a final order.
Sure.
And they can pass order only up to 31st December. They cannot pass thereafter.
Okay. So basically, I mean, I think 15 December is a good deadline to keep in mind, self-imposed deadline, and try and finish some of these things.
Absolutely.
Before that, you really don't want to mess with the tax department. Well, on that note, we're going to take another quick break. On the other side, we have a couple of queries that are coming in from our viewers, so we'll have Mayur answer them.